Hi, everyone. I just want to welcome you to this very first module of small business management and entrepreneurship. I hope you're excited to get started. I know that I am. This is a pretty fun class. As I stated in the introduction module, it moves really quickly. So just be sure that you keep up with your work, that you reach out quickly if you see you have an issue so that we can work together to resolve things. But let's just dive in now and get started. And before we really, fully get started, I do want to let you know as you move into this course that some aspects of this course are going to seem to sort of assume that you either already have a small business or you're planning to start one. Okay, you'll see other technical business classes that sort of have the same assumption. And that is only because this is considered a technical class, which means it is very transferable from course to life. It's very hands-on. It's very focused on real-world application. Do not panic. If you're sitting there thinking, I don't own a small business and it's not even on my radar, that's fine. I will tell you, I think the class will be easier for you if you sort of create this imaginary business in your mind. Say if somebody walks up to you and says, you don't have to work anymore. Someone's going to help with your kids, with your college, with whatever else you got going on. Here's all the time and money in the world. If you could start a business, what would you do? Kind of get that in your mind and think about what that business would look like, because that's going to give you some grounding for some of the theoretical type stuff in this course so that you're not just feeling sort of lost. You have a base to bring it back to, okay? Now, as I said, this course is called Small Business Management and Entrepreneurship. So we really need to start by sort of unpacking what that means. What is an entrepreneur? How is that different from a small business owner? Because you can be one and not the other. Now, most entrepreneurs do tend to own some sort of business, but not all small business owners are entrepreneurs. The basic difference is this. Owning a small business is something that you do, okay? You own something within your community. Small business owners are people that own small local businesses. They either sell goods or they provide services. A lot of small businesses are service businesses like lawn mowing or childcare or car washing, that type of thing, where you don't walk out with a product, but you're provided a service. They tend to focus on serving a local market that they understand very well. They focus on stability. They depend on this income for their sustenance and life, and that is just their focus. They're one small business. Entrepreneurship is different. Being an entrepreneur is something that you are. It is related to personality. And again, not all small business owners have an entrepreneurship element to their personality. Entrepreneurs are very willing to take risks, financial and otherwise. They are gifted at identifying market opportunities and ways to meet those opportunities. They are innovative and creative. They are bold. It is really burning in them to do something different and make something different and make some sort of impact. And part of this first module is determining whether or not you are an entrepreneur. You have a self-assessment to determine yes or no. And I want to start off the bat right away assuring you that there is no right or wrong answer. It is absolutely okay if you are not an entrepreneur. If that is not part of your personality, you can still be successful in this course. And let me really bring this home by telling you, I am teaching this course and I am not an entrepreneur. That is not part of my personality, okay? I don't like the stress that comes with managing risks. It keeps me up at night. You know what I'm saying? I like to go to work, know what the paycheck's going to be, and go home. That's just who I am. I'm a very bird in the hand kind of girl. That's me. Now, my husband is more of an entrepreneur, and I will use him and his LLC in some of my examples in this course. But I just tell you that not to in any way knock entrepreneur. You're either in the category with me as a no, or in the category with my favorite person as a yes. Okay, but there is no right or wrong answer. Entrepreneur is something you are, you aren't, and it's neither good nor bad. It's just who you are. Okay, so don't stress if you take the assessment and say absolutely not. You can still be successful in this course. Okay, Now, some things we're going to look at and consider as we move through this module is, why do people actually start businesses? And now, there's not any one reason. There are many. Some of the most common motivations are you have a passion for a product or an idea, something you want to put out into your community. You want independence and control. That's a big one for my husband. He wants to be his own boss. He wants to be in charge of what he's doing today. I don't have that, but if you have that, yes, that's part of entrepreneurship, and that's part of why people start businesses. You see a gap in the market. Some people just see that. They'll see a gap in the market and say, I could fill that gap and use it to make money. People start businesses as a financial opportunity. Of course, nobody goes into business thinking, I really hope I lose money on this deal. Definitely that is a factor. And then sometimes people are just so dissatisfied with the Monday through Friday, 8 to 5, or whatever your schedule is, constant grind, that they think, I want to do something different. I want to do it for myself. All of those are reasons that people start businesses. And for most people, it's a combination of those, right? And a lot of people, if you think about starting a business, I know it was always my view was that you'd have to have some completely new idea to start a business or a ton of money. But we're going to see in this class that neither of those things are true. There is, of course, always going to be a market for new and innovative ideas, but you can also start a successful business by improving on existing products or making things more convenient to people or serving a different market, right? If you open a business in your local community where it does not exist, even if it exists somewhere else, it's still useful to your community, okay? The thing that is important is identifying a market gap, either in products or services, and determining how you could fill that gap, right? Like if you live in a little tiny town of 600 people, you probably don't need to start the 10th lawn mowing service in that little community. You know what I'm saying? You need to find something where there is actually a gap. Where is there a need? Where is there a need that is not being filled? And look to that if you're thinking about starting a business. A good way to get a business idea is to find a problem that is not being solved and solve it, okay? And there are a couple of key questions you should always ask yourself before you even consider starting a business. One, is there a demand? Do people actually want this product or service? And not just any people, enough people to make it an equitable business. Number two, is it unique or valuable? Is it different from competitors? Like I said, you don't want to be just more white noise in a field that is already covered in your area. Number three, do you believe in it? Do you believe in your business? Because if you start a business you don't believe in, nobody else will believe in it. Okay, you have to believe in it. Number four, which really might be number one for people, is it potentially profitable? Because if not, unless you're just independently wealthy and want it as a hobby, then there is no point in starting a business that's not going to realistically make you some money. Even if it doesn't make enough money to be your only source or primary source of income, it needs to make some amount of money in order to be viable as a business. And number five, can it grow? Now, we have to remind ourselves not everything is going to succeed, and that's okay. But if you open something and you know it will not grow, then that's probably a waste of time and investment money. Okay? Now, the last part of this module, as we go through it, it talks about choosing a business structure. And now that's going to be more important than many people realize because it affects a lot of things. It affects its taxes. It affects your liability if something goes wrong. It affects how much control you have over what happens in the business. It affects your ability to raise money through some of the grants and things that are available for small businesses through the government. Okay. And the last chapter in our module is going to show you the different options of businesses you could start. But some of the main ones are a sole proprietorship, which is easy to start, but comes with a lot of personal responsibility for risks. You can start a partnership where you share the responsibility with another small business owner. Y'all go into it together, but also you're not just sharing the responsibility, you're sharing the risk. There's a corporation, which is more complex and usually involves larger businesses, but it offers very strong protection and growth potential. And then there's probably the most common, the LLC, which is a limited liability company. And that is a very popular option because it combines some flexibility with personal protection. And choosing the right structure really depends on your goals, on your willingness to accept risks, and your long-term plans. My husband is a consultant in the oil industry, and he is set up as an LLC. which is funny to think of. We have a business, but he is the business. It's just him. But he's set up as an LLC, and that way he's covered because the oil industry is dangerous. And if he's on the rig and consults in some way that someone decides brings harm, then the LLC, which we'll learn more about it in the module, it covers us so that if something goes wrong, they can sue the LLC, but they can't take away my home or personal belongings. And that's the kind of thing you need to consider if you're going to start a business. Now, before we wrap up, I just want to give a shout out to small businesses and how impactful they are so that you understand why this course has meaning and why small businesses have meaning. About 99% of businesses in the U.S. are small businesses, and they employ nearly half of the workforce. I live in Carthage. I know all of you may not, but as you look around, you see the small businesses in the area and the employment opportunities it offers to our citizens in a place that doesn't really have a lot of employment opportunities, right? So we are really grateful for our small businesses. And that means that entrepreneurs and small business owners play a huge role in job creation, in innovation, and bringing good economic growth to our communities, okay? Now, as you get into this first module, again, it seems like a lot. Just go one step at a time. There are 2 self-assessments, 2 discussion posts, and a quiz that are all going to be due by Sunday at midnight. Again, please reach out to me if you have questions. I just want to give one right up front statement about the discussion questions. I am not going to hop in and grade whether you can write like Ernest Hemingway or whether all of your grammar is correct. What I want to hear in the discussion questions, what I want to read is your thoughts in your voice, okay? And see some demonstration that you've actually read or viewed whatever we're discussing. Please do not just ask ChatGPT and copy and paste it. I will warn you that often when you link a video and ask ChatGPT to tell you something about the video, it is way off base, and I'll read your discussion and immediately know because what you said has nothing to do with the video I posted. It happens frequently, so just don't do that to yourself. Do not be nervous that you cannot make a good grade. You can. I want the discussion post to be like we're sitting in the classroom discussing it. And just like I wouldn't grade you if you used the wrong verb, if we were sitting and discussing it, I'm not going to harsh on you if you do that in the discussion post, but I will not give credit for a discussion post that I can tell is absolutely copied and pasted from ChatGPT. Okay? All right, guys, good luck with all of this. Have a great week, and I will see you in Module 2.